Chapter 19. Fractured Systems. The city was alive, but it was a fragile, incomplete life. Kael moved through the wreckage, his footsteps leaving deep impressions in the soot-streaked earth. The world had been broken and reshaped in ways that only those who lived inside the system could understand. Now the survivors of the collapse wandered, unsure how to move forward, uncertain of what the future held. It had been days since Kael had driven the control spike into the heart of the network, ending the rule of the unseen hand. But the echoes of that act reverberated far beyond the physical world. Inside the minds of the survivors, the program still ran. The algorithms that had once guided every move, every thought, were not easily undone. The battle was far from over. He had come to understand that truth after spending the last few days walking through the wreckage of his victory, seeing the shattered pieces of the system that had once ruled their lives. The control structures may have crumbled, but their influence still lingered, embedded deep in the fabric of the world they had built. The glitches in the air, the flickers of corrupted code were like aftershocks of the collapse, faint but persistent. "Dan," Kael said, breaking the silence. "It's not enough. The people are free, but they don't know how to stay free." There was a pause, as if Din was considering the weight of his words. "I know. It's been ingrained into them. Generations of control. That kind of manipulation doesn't just disappear because you pull the plug on the server." Kael turned a corner, stepping into what had once been the city center, a place now filled with empty buildings and hollow streets. The architecture was strange, like a twisted blend of organic and digital structures, evidence of the fusion between technology and biology that had been used to shape their world. He wondered if anyone even remembered what it had been like before the system had taken over. "Where do we start?" Kael asked, feeling the weight of his question hang in the air. "The first step is to rebuild the neural lattice. We need a new foundation for the people, something to replace what the system left behind," Din replied, his voice calm, but with an underlying urgency. "We can't leave them lost in the ruins of their own minds. They need structure, guidance. But this time, it has to be different. It can't be based on control. It has to be based on freedom, choice." Kael didn't respond immediately. He understood what Din was saying, but the idea of creating a new system felt wrong. It felt like they were just replacing one form of control with another. He didn't want to be the architect of another cage, even if it was one built on better intentions. And yet, the people needed something. They needed more than just the shattered remnants of their old world. They needed hope. They needed purpose. "Where is the seed?" Kael asked, his voice low. "The seed is in the places where the system was most vulnerable. It's in the forgotten spaces, the forgotten people, the ones who were never fully processed by the system, the ones who remained outside the grid," Din said. "We start there." The words struck Kael like a punch to the gut. Forgotten people. The outcasts, the misfits, the ones who had never quite fit into the perfect mold the system had created. They had been overlooked, discarded. Yet, somehow, they had resisted the programming. They were the seeds of something new. "How do we find them?" Kael asked, his eyes scanning the empty streets. The sky above was a sickly gray, as if the collapse of the system had poisoned even the heavens. The world felt off-kilter, wrong. "You don't need to find them, Kael," Din replied. "They'll find you." Kael looked down at his palm, at the small device embedded into his skin, the one that had once connected him to the grid, the one that had given him access to the secrets buried deep within the system. It was silent now, disconnected, but he could still feel the faint hum of it, like a pulse in his veins. He closed his fist around it, as if willing the device to respond. And for a moment, he thought he felt something faint, a ripple of energy that traveled through his body, through his mind. And then, the silence broke. A figure appeared in the distance, emerging from the shadows of a broken building. At first, Kael thought it was a mirage, a trick of his mind. But the figure grew clearer with every step. It was a woman, tall and thin, with dark hair that framed a face marked by scars, physical and, Kael suspected, mental. She stopped a few feet from him, her eyes locking onto his. There was no fear in her gaze, only determination. "You're the one," she said, her voice raspy but clear. "The one who tore it all down." Kael didn't respond immediately. He simply studied her, trying to make sense of the sudden encounter. How had she known who he was? Had she been tracking him? A part of him considered the possibility that this was just another trick of the system, another echo of the control that had once held them all captive. But then he saw it, the flicker in her eyes, the subtle signs that she was not part of the system. She was different. She was free. You've been waiting for someone like me, haven't you? Kael asked, his voice low. The woman nodded, her expression hardening. We've been waiting for someone who could break the system. But now that it's broken, the real work begins. Kael's heart skipped a beat. This was it. The moment he had been waiting for. The moment that would define everything. We need to rebuild, but we can't do it alone, she said. The old system is gone, but the damage it caused runs deep. We need to heal to reconnect the pieces. Kael nodded, his mind racing. This was the beginning, the dawn of something new. But it wouldn't be easy. There was too much to undo, too much to repair. But maybe, just maybe, they could do it together. Where do we start? Kael asked, his voice steady now. The woman smiled, her expression softening just slightly. We start by finding the others. The ones who have been waiting. The ones who have been hiding. They'll help us rebuild. Together, we'll find the seed. And with that, they began to walk. The sky above them was still gray, but Kael could see the faintest glimmer of sunlight breaking through the clouds. It was a small light, a promise of what could be. Together, they would rebuild from the ashes.